Hello everyone. We're starting our tech talk, which is dedicated to the alternative API testing. Let me introduce Yegor. Yegor is senior software test engineer here. Hello, Yegor. Who actively uses testing to ensure that his code meets the requirement as much as possible. Yegor, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, colleague. Thank you for joining this event. And this event was organized by two community, Quality Assurance Hub and Latvia Java community. And firstly, let introduce myself. The topic will be beyond Postman, and we considering two alternatives to commercial software, Bruno and httpYac, suitable for exploratory and API testing. And firstly, let's introduce myself. My name is Yegor Chemisev. I'm from Latvia. I'm working in EPAM for several years, and I participate in Latvian Java community as well as other community. The DHS community is my hobby. This month I participate in Latvia championship for DHS, and also I contribute to exercism site as a mentor and as an author of exercises. And this year they invite me to the team, and I'm also maintainer of OC track. And for this presentation, I will use some exercises from this site. This is why I mention it. And so let's start the main presentation. This will be our agenda. We discuss why this topic is actual today, about moving from Postman or other commercial alternatives. We have a quick Bruno overview, and also I overview the new HTTP format that is used in Microsoft JetBrains and other tools. We have a quick overview of JetBrains HTTP client, and this client is commercial. And after I overview the alternative for this client, httpYac. So, and after we close our discussion by close our presentation by discussing cons and pros of each of these program, and some situation where one is preferred against other to choose. So, and let's start by discussing why this presentation actual, and the main trigger for this is changing policy of Postman. The Postman was very popular among QA engineers, and it was very popular, and still it's very popular among any engineers who need to create API and test them. However, starting from May 15, Scratchpad mode that allow us to create local collection and use it no longer be available in the latest version of the Postman. And the Postman this forced to choose some subscription. And for example, project where I working start program for migrating from Postman to other alternatives. And here is a public blog by SAP, alternative to Postman for exploratory and automated API testing. In this blog, they mention this event, and also suggested some tools for exploratory testing and for test automation. We will not cover and we will not discuss about Karate or Rest Assured and some other, but we concentrate on Bruno and HTTP clients. It's two alternatives. And let's start with Bruno. You can see the nice dog here. And in the logo of this program, you can also find the this dog and the program named in favor to this nice pet. And creator Bruno Anup state why he decided to develop the program. And after the current situation, it's have several versions. The Anup left his previous job and concentrate on he only working in Bruno, and this also have some paid subscription and plan. However, the main open source version is very rich and it costs nothing, and it have safe collection locally. Let's check the possibilities. You can see that it support almost all features that in Pro or Ultimate version, except for integration with HashiCorp Vault or something specific. Also, it has some limitation related to data driving testing with CSV. However, for all other feature, it's good. And we starting by looking for the program, how it look, how we can create collection, repos, and so on. And this is the first screen you see when you start the Bruno program. The program available for all platforms, for Linux, Mac OS, and for Windows. And you see already several collection I created. As I told you before, I use exercism, project exercism exercises for this presentation. So, and we can import a collection from Postman. We can import from Insomnia or import from OpenAPI specification. But when we create collection, we have to specify the location and the folder name. The Bruno never use cloud. It's stated in the manifest. Your collection will be stored locally and can be synchronized with the Git or other version control system. So you have full control over your collection. And when I create a new collection grains, you can see 3 dots menu. When we click, we can choose settings, export, run, rename, new script, new folder, and for this time, I just use new request. And when we create new request, we can choose the protocol. Actually, we can copy this request from curl. We name this request and use a different method, and let's create. So, and after running, we get a result. But usually we didn't use as a server name. We in Postman we use environment variables, and here also we have environment. And let's configure it to use localhost, and I'll also use Azure. You can see now I use this host variable in my request. So Let's check other section of this request. You can see we can specify params, body, header, body. Body we can specify multi-part form, JSON, XML, text, and other. We can add any headers. We can use authentication, and Bruno supports a different type of authentication out of the box. Also, we can set up variables before the request and after the response. And after the response, we can use any valid JavaScript expression, so extract information from response body, set the variables, and we can use these variables in the next subsequent request, so share information between requests. Also, we can use pre-request script and post-response script, and Bruno have very rich API for scripting. And for example, it have variables, special variables like brew and res, and we can specify even the next request. So here we can have a logic, and we can choose which request sends the next after some condition. So it's like if-else logic. And the Bruno also support asserts. It's a very simple form of test. So instead of writing JavaScript code, we can specify expression, operator, and value. And you can see it's a lot of operators. As well, we can specify JavaScript. The Bruno supports many libraries, and also it allows us to add more extra library for Node.js script. Together with the test and script, we can also write the documentation for our request, and for example, something describe this request as well. So how look test? The test looks very similar to Postman, and they use standard session library. And when we run test, you can see on the right side, that's the result of running this test. So here I copy built-in libraries. You don't need to add in package .json. So it's available out of the box. And for a session, used Chai library. And now, instead of test, I create the similar sessions. You can see after executing that it run the test and run a session. So we can choose what we prefer to use. And the main advantage of Bruno against Postman that even if you don't know how to program, instead of writing JavaScript code, you can just add a session, and in many cases, it is enough. No need to programming. You just select expression and operator. As you can see, in expression, I use special variable res. This is represent response of request. And in the documentation on the side, it's described all possible variables and cases, and response contains status, contains body, contains header. So we can add this as a session, select operator, and select value to check. Yes, I zoom it to make it more clear. And you can see the equal. This test and a session are equals, so we can use a session instead of test. and it can save our time. So let's consider more sophisticated example. Here in Pigletin, I have web application, Pigletin translator, and this is Spring Boot application, and application contains actuator. And for example, I would like to check Java to be sure that Java version and vendor is correct. And one of the possible way, I can define the variable after the executing this response. You can see I define variables with name Java, and I'm already defined expression response body Java. So it allows me in assertion, instead of specifying full path, just refer to predefined variable. You can see the first line, response body operation system. It's a full path, but the next line, it's our predefined variable after the response. So it can allow me to create a more concise assertion. And the right side, you can see some examples. For example, Java version starts with, I use quotes because otherwise it's treated as a number and assertion fails. But vendor name is Microsoft is a string, recognized as string, and matches is a regular expression. So for vendor version, I use and check for regular expression. And this is how represented in the report. Res body OS is defined, Java is defined, so it's very clear and very easy to use. So the next thing I would like to show you that collection folders have properties as well. And for example, if we have folder with a similar request that share the similar headers, similar some variables, and we can define the settings. You can see I click on the three-dot menu, select settings, and now appear the menu for folder settings. Here I define header, content type JSON. I can specify script, some test, and variables, application JSON. So now in the same dot menu, I can run all request in that folder. And I have options. I can run request only in this folder, but not in the subfolder, or I can run recursively. So inside the folder, you can create a subfolder, and you can choose what you would like to do. Here, how it look like the report. So the main advantage of Bruno that the collection saved not like some JSON or other file that it's not easy to read and understand, but each request saved as separate text file, so it can be easily monitored when some changes in version control system. You can see what changed, and here I open this collection and I open settings for collection, and you can see in the info the location, and let's open this location with our IDE. So I open in IDE, sorry for very, very small shift, but let's see in details. Here, Armstrong numbers is a folder, and each request stored in version control system as file with brew extension. It's a domain-specific extension, and also environment variables also stored in a subfolder. And you can see Bruno.json. This is information about the collection, the name of collection, and some common parameters. Also, the folder change have a special file folder.bruno, and this file also store specific information for the folder. And let's take a look more closely for this format. It's not JSON, it's not other format, it's a proprietary format of Bruno. But it's very easy to read and to understand, and you can see in meta information the name of the request and also the sequence number. So it can store it on the file system in arbitrary order, but when the Bruno runs the collection, or if you open this collection in the Bruno, it reads the sequence number and sort request according to the sequence number. So here is the post section, body section, section for accession, and section for test. And one of the possible way, you can use a graphic user interface to create a session, or if you prefer to work in IDEA, you can directly edit text file. It automatically synchronizes with graphic user interface program. So if it's convenient for you, you can use text editor to create request. So the next important file is package.json. In this file, we store information about how to run test script and any additional information about, you can see dependencies, use Bruno CLI, the version. And in addition to this CLI, I need extra libraries not included and built into the CLI. And I add these libraries in package.json. Also, I specify script to run test locally. And I specify script to run test in CI/CD. In CI/CD, I need to represent output as report XML in format JUnit 5, so it can be consumed by different reporting tools like EPAM report portal or Allure report or other reporting system. So let's start locally. You can see it's show very clean information. And in the second change for 1 cent, it's you can see a session and you can see how look test, regular test script. So at the end, you can see number of requests, how many tests, and how many sessions executed. In my project, when I migrate from Postman, actually I rewrite all the test script into the session, and it was enough for our needs. So you can see 124 sessions. So it's much easier. Now consider how we can use it in CI/CD. I use GitHub actions. So GitHub workflow, and here is very simple code. I need Node.js and only to command npm install and np run and the name of script here. So it's just 2 lines of code to run in CI/CD. And the next, I have some report publishing This report publishing consume XML JUnit 5 format. So I specify it. And how it look like on GitHub Actions, you can see it show test suite and how many paste failed, skipped, and time for executing. And just take an example. Let's zoom it more. Here I have Armstrong number. Armstrong number, it's the name of the folder. There is Armstrong number is the name of Bruno request. And here I use only a session. You can see I assert for status, for header, for body, different assertion type. So, and this is how look like a session and test script. The last lines is a test script, and for test script we can specify English sentence as a name of this test. So it's just to understand how it look like. So this is about the Bruno. You can see these two collection exercism as a function, and I use two exercises, Armstrong numbers and change. And the next section will be dedicated about the alternative program, alternative approach. And firstly, I would like to talk about HTTP format. What this format is, when it appears, and who use this format. And first time this format was suggested by Hua Mao in REST client plugin for Visual Studio Code. You can see it have more than 4 millions downloaded installation. It have 5-star rating. And this is absolutely free. This client was mentioned in SAP blog, and this client appeared firstly in 2017, and have many features. Support for GraphQL. It can you can specify multiple requests in single file delimited by 3 slashes. It have support different authentication. It support environment variables. It have some dynamic variables, so you can generate random idea, generate random GUID, and so on. And this file is saved in with extension HTTP or .rest. And Microsoft adopted this format. It was very, very popular, and Microsoft included in the commercial Visual Studio 2022. It's not Visual Studio Code, but full-fledged IDE for .NET developers. And inside, it's also used the similar and directly mentioned that file format and editor was inspired by Visual Studio Code REST client extension. So it allows us in one file to specify many requests like this. We can include a header. We can include request body. We can use comments, variables, and use also environment files. So let's check how it implemented in JetBrains. JetBrains also use this format, not only the Microsoft, but JetBrains. And one idea that include HTTP editor is Aqua. as quality assurance engineer, maybe you use it. If you didn't use it, you can try. It's free for non-commercial use, just to understand what is it. It supports Selenium testing, Selenium and other test framework. So, and in this area, you can see I have the same test for vending machine change exercise, and I save one request in one file. So with these names, and you can see I can include comments. I use environment variables to specify host, and I include the test construction after this request. And after I execute it, we can see the test successfully passed for this. I didn't I didn't jump deeply into this HTTP client because you can find on YouTube the perfect presentation from Yuri Artamonov about HTTP client secret weapon for web services testing. I use it in my IntelliJ Ultimate for Java development. Also, not only editor, the JetBrains also released HTTP client CLI to run the test in CI/CD. You can find this presentation as well. But the problem with JetBrains HTTP client that it available only in commercial version of IDE. It's not available in the free version. And if you in your command in your team, some use commercial, some use free version, it's not possible to use it in the project. And for this reason, let's introduce you httpYac. This is Visual Studio Code extension. And on this diagram, if REST client is appear in 2017, it's excellent tools for sending requests, but it doesn't contains any testing capabilities. Then HTTP client from JetBrains appear in 2019, and it have testing support for scripting, for testing. And httpYac, it support test script for of JetBrains, but also support assertion, simple assertion, and other features that doesn't have HTTP client. So, and this is it from author Andreas Weber. So for architect, I created httpYac in 2020 to build a superset of both, meaning REST client and JetBrains client, allowing extensibility even without the author. So let's check it in deeply, how it look like. So the first step, I open the same test script I created in JetBrains HTTP client. You can see how it look like in Visual Studio Code with httpYac. And the second slide, the same test script created absolutely the same, created in one file, and instead of scripting, I use simple assertion. So let's zoom to see. You can see post context type, content type, and we have a payload, and after we have assertion, starting with two question mark. And this assertion is very easy to to write. It's very easy to read this test. It's very easy to read, and it's very easy to maintain. And when you make some changes in GitHub, you see the difference. So it's absolutely excellent approach. I very, very like it. So let's run in Visual Studio Code. You can see I run a session in the left side. We can see the test result output, and the next slide I demonstrate the icon of httpYac client. It's I select this icon, and you can see that we can access environment variables. The http YaC have some global variables, and you can access some internal status. Using the script, you can do everything. So it combines simple format, and it allows you to write very quickly the simple request. But if you need some complex scenario and complex test cases, you can use scripting and implement this as well. So the next I demonstrate some possibilities for data-driven testing. For example, here I test Armstrong numbers, and before it's the file separated into the region, and the first region, and it's before request, I set sample data. The next, after the name of the script parameterized test for Armstrong numbers, I use loop special meta construction to create for each loop. Let's look it more in details. HTTP region, this is a built-in variable, and I access this variable to change metadata title for test case 0. So I would like, when the run test, so the test name will be substituted. Instead of parameterized test for Armstrong number, I can see exactly there is Armstrong, single digit, and so on. So the naming will be nice for me. I also extract a number and expected, run the test, and make a session. You can see that I skip the method name and I skip host. This is specific for httpYac. When we send a GET request, we can not specifying the method. And if variable host already defined it, it uses it. So we can make it more concise, the request. So this is zoom for data and zoom for a session to make it clear. And when I run it, you can see that in the test results, it substitutes the test name with sample data name description, so we can check it. And this is how look a session. More complex case, it can use any external file for sample data. For example, exercism have a special description for test cases. It have 74 languages, and when we add new exercise, we describe test cases in JSON file. So I copy this JSON file, and I'm trying using in my test cases just to demonstrate, is it possible to load test cases from JSON? And now I use test case.number, test case.expected directly like it is in this JSON file. The next step is package JSON. How httpYac works, it's absolutely similar like Bruno. it uses Node.js, it uses JavaScript and Node.js. And here I specify scripts, and I in GitHub Actions, I absolutely the same npm install and npm run and the name of the script. And I use the same test report publisher. Absolutely. So, and if we check, you can see it's look httpYac test report, but it's look very, very similar. The only difference is slightly differently represented a session because the format is different. But test report are absolutely the same. So we have reviewed the two open source free alternatives for Postman and JetBrains HTTP client. And the question is what we have to choose in our project. And actually, I created this screenshot of this for this presentation. I created yesterday. It's just to prepare, and I'm trying to find the comparison in YouTube. I make request Bruno vs HTTP code, and I found presentation. Oh, I see. I'm lucky, and I check this, and I see this is upcoming presentation, and then I realize that it's my presentation own. So I start this for my own, and for first, let's compare the interfaces. Bruno vs HttpYac. And the first thing is Bruno is a very, very Bruno graphic user interface is very simple, very laconic user interface. And if you have previous experience with Postman, but you are not coder, you didn't work with Visual Studio Code, you like this interface. It's very clear. It's not extra icons, not extra some elements that confuse you. So it may be a good choice for this situation. If you, like me, are a developer and you are very familiar with Visual Studio Code, maybe Visual Studio Code with httpYac will be preferred choose. Because I don't need to switch when I coding my project in Java. I can put the test inside this repository, and actually it integrated the test from httpYac integrated in Visual Studio Code, test for Java integrated, so it can be in one testing in one Windows all the test, and it's very convenient for me not to switch to other application, but run directly in Visual Studio Code. If we're talking about script capabilities, I found that httpYac maybe have a little bit more because Bruno, if you would like to use data-driven approach, it's available only in conversion version of Bruno. But in httpYac, it's totally free. It's no commercial version, absolutely open source. It's a MIT license. So it's a little bit more, but not critical. The Bruno have very nice session, and httpYac have very nice session. So this is even. And the only difference is your preferences. For example, if you are a manual tester and you are not familiar with coding, maybe Bruno will be very nice for you. If you are a coder and you like to have in one program, maybe httpYac will be a better choice. So I suppose these two programs targeting slightly different audience and cover different needs. And whatever you choose, they are both created by excellent engineers and a very, very excellent choice for you testing needs. Thank you for listening, and this is time for your questions. We already spent 45 minutes, and so Tatiana, maybe.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting and helpful. Folks, maybe you have any question to Igor? What do you think? If you have questions later, you can contact our speaker personally. Nevertheless, we wait 1 minute your questions.
Tatiana, what
I think
I have a question for you. If you tasked to choose the tools, what is your preferences? What do you think? For your experience?
Earlier it was Postman, but now I think it's very useful for me, maybe Bruno, after your presentation.
Yeah, I can share my experience, and I have a very successful experience with migration from Postman to the Bruno. And it's totally fulfill our needs. But I still use httpYac and personally for some testing purposes. Personally, not like in the project quite. For example, it have some interesting feature like it can generate a request like a cycle from create 100 requests and I generate payload for messages for ID, and it allow me to create easily such type of script. But
Okay.
but our comment, our team in generally use Bruno, and if we check popularity in stars on GitHub. The Bruno currently, on the day of this presentation, have about 27,000 stars. It's a huge amount.
Huge amount.
1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, before the Postman declare this changing in pricing, the Bruno have less than 500 stars, and httpYac have 500 stars. But after Postman declaring, the Bruno have gained a huge popularity. Now the Bruno 27,000 stars, httpYac 500 stars. So 50 times more popular. Bruno is more popular. So it's reflects it.
Okay. I have questions from Artem. Have you faced any issues with environment process yes, in Bruno?
Bruno use .env files, and in Jenkins, no, I didn't face any problems. We use secrets in Jenkins and set up required variables in our CI/CD process in Jenkins, in the project. And for GitHub Actions, I think also no problem. I didn't use this special setup for demonstration, but I suppose it's no problem. The commercial version of Bruno also have integration with HashiCorp Vault. If you need some special integration with HashiCorp Vault, perhaps you need to use commercial subscription.
Okay, Igor, I have one question from Nelly. Nelly said, asked about, what about hopscotch? Do you have experience with it, Igor?
I didn't catch hopscotch.
Yes.
Is it? Yes, you can understand. I didn't have experience. I cannot because I didn't know hopscotch.
Okay, yeah, we have a question from Tatiana. Were there any challenges is migration from Postman to httpYac?
The Postman have JSON structure, And when I migrate, I can share my experience when I migrate to Bruno. And Bruno have different syntaxes. I use EPAM generative AI to make this job for me. And I found that documentation is Bruno not good enough, or AI don't know this. So in my prompt, I need to repeat this documentation for this and put some examples what I would like to do. And after I crafted the prompt, I just copy one by one test in JSON and Postman, put in AI, and AI generate text file in Bruno. So I can easily and very quickly migrate from Postman to Bruno. But it required for me time to create this prompt. For httpYac, I found this documentation is very good. The AI now about httpYac, now about this. And for example, all of these tests I created for this presentation generated by AI. I didn't programming in them, yes. Sometimes I just copy paste JSON with sample data, and I told generate httpYac test with this sample data. It automatically generate. I suppose it will be easier for migrating using AI, not manually converting.
And second questions from Evgen. Does it tool support performance testing feature?
No, the httpYac have duration. You can make a session for duration, but it's not definitely. I'm not considering it as for performing testing. Yeah, it's have. I use Apache Gmeter. I know it's other tools specialized for performing testing. I'm not recommend to use httpYac. But it have duration, so you can check that request is performed in less time that it's needed. So.
Okay, Igor, thank you. It was very, very interesting and helpful. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. Folks, if you have any questions, and it's true, Igor, yeah, you can contact our speaker personally. If you have any questions later and some specific. Okay, guys. Okay, folks, guys, lady, man, Igor.
Okay,
thank you for all
thank
joining
you.
our tech. Yes, our
Yes.
tech talk. Yes, I hope
Okay.
to see you next time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for
Bye.
joining, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.